and last session of the day in this stream. So I'm very happy to invite Disha Gosalia to join me on this virtual platform. So Disha is VP Customer Success at New Relic. Hi Disha, it's good to see you.
Hello.
How are you?
I am good. How are you? It is
I'm
nice to
very
be here.
great, and welcome to this conference. So with Disha, we're going to talk about the future state of customer success and how to evolve your CSMs into customer value consultants. So about
Yeah.
Disha is a performance-driven technical executive and has held various positions in the past where she has helped build and scale from ground up global customer-facing teams for SaaS companies. In these roles, Disha has been directly responsible for creating programs to impact our company's recurring revenue and retention goals. She has a strong passion for building collaborative and data-driven teams and is obsessed with building partnerships with her customers to help influence their business outcomes. Disha is currently Vice President of Customer Success at New Relic, and prior to New Relic, she was VP of Support and Services at Comcast and helped them pivot from a managed services support structure to SaaS. Prior to that, she ran the developer support programs for the industrial IoT at General Electric. So today, Disha is going to talk us through the future state of customer success. So the world of customer success continues to evolve and business continue to grow. It is now time to move to the next level of CS. Disha will present a framework for transforming your CS function to the next level whilst converting your CSM into customer value experts. With that, I will hand it over to you, Disha. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's get started. So I'm going to talk here for about 25 minutes, hopefully leave about, or 20 minutes or so, leave about 5 minutes for Q&A. I will share first a bit of context about New Relic. So as I go through some of the journey and frameworks that we have built, you have context on how this relates to you. If you are at a place where you have either built a CSM organization or you're part of one and you want to take it to the next level, that provides more value to your customer and that can scale, you are at the right session, you're listening to the right talk. I will share some details about how CSMs can evolve into customer value consultants and how you can measure that value. A little bit about New Relic. The world's best engineering teams rely on New Relic to visualize, analyze, and troubleshoot their software. New Relic is a completely cloud-based enterprise-wide observability platform that provides end-to-end visibility for our customers' web, mobile, on-premise applications. And we have about 17,000 customers. Almost 50% of our 50% of Fortune 100 customers are our customers. There are 1,900 or so employees, publicly traded. We're a fully SaaS subscription model, and the customer success basically owns product adoption and retention. The revenues are driven, the growth is driven by user licenses, as well as product consumption. Just some of our customer logos, I think important to note here in terms of those numbers is, we have about 1,000 or so approximately customers that spend about 100,000 subscription revenue annual with us, ARR. That's important in this conversation because I'm going to be touching on mainly how we have evolved this customer value framework with these customers. I'll talk a little bit, I'll touch on how this can be done at scale for our remaining of our 16,000 customers, but I'm going to mainly focus on our enterprise segment. So our business world is ever evolving. The industries and categories our companies serve are constantly evolving. And so is your customers' pain points, and they are changing as well. Today, the world around is also much different than what we knew it about 9 months ago. Hence, I look at evolving both ourselves and our organizations as a journey, which you're kind of always on. You have destinations on the way. So let me walk you through today on the customer success organization's journey, at New Relic. So I'm going to briefly summarize the journey we've gone through in the last couple of years. So when you build a foundation, and in 2018, the CS organization was created. I mean, the organization existed in some form before, but it was almost kind of a rebirth, defining its purpose and mission. So in that foundation piece, when you build something new from ground up, you're kind of hiring new CSMs, you are segmenting your customer base, understanding and defining what ratios of your CSM to customer you have, building processes both for internal training and customers, as well as aligning with internal stakeholders on what your CSM organization is accountable for. And I think most important in this phase is how you're going to track success, right? You typically start tracking activities, and those become your metrics, right? So basically, how many customers have you onboarded successfully? Your business reviews, how many have you completed, success plans, etc. And then next, it's important, so as we move from in this journey to 2019, is becoming more focused, right? So what are your focus areas? And I think this can be different based on different companies and what your company's top-down initiatives are. You need to make sure your organization goals, mission, and focus is aligned, to your company's mission. So now you move from just defining your output as just as a set of activities to actual KPIs, right? So you kind of start asking the questions like, well, so what if we onboarded 90% of our customers successfully, or we have 95% of success plans? Like, how is that impacting my business? And I think that's where you move to more targeted metrics like retention, expansion, customer satisfaction, etc. And then this next stage, which what I'm going to focus on today, is moving to that consultative approach, is what New Relic built over in this year. I'm going to focus my time on walking you through these three pieces of how CSMs can become trusted advisor, how to use prescriptive playbooks to become consultative, and then most importantly, kind of how do you measure your customers' outcomes here. All right, so the challenge in why we had to come up with this next phase was we started seeing that our product's value was being questioned during renewals. Our practitioners are engineers, but they don't always sign the checks. We had to talk the language of our executive buyer personas when we demonstrated value. So we realized that broadly, there are three areas of values our customers talk about. So basically, is your technology helping them make money, save money, or avoid risk? So our challenge here was, how do we measure that our product brings value in those terms? And this required our CSMs to become customer value consultants. So let's unpack what that means next. So before I dive deep into the value framework, this was our coverage model. We have a high-touch model where we have designated CSMs for all our customers, kind of as I said earlier, that spend at least $100K annually with us. That makes about 75% of the revenue, but only 7% of our customer base, which means we do have a long tail of roughly 15,000 customers that have to be supported digitally. I am going to mainly focus on these enterprise-grade customers. However, the work we have done in putting these clearly documented playbooks and these value framework has definitely helped us scale our digital workflows as well. So, I can touch a bit on that too. So CSMs need to strive to become trusted advisors to the customers. How do you do that? So shortly after we recognized that we need our CSMs to help our customer champions and buyers recognize the value of a platform, I announced to our team that you all are now going to go through a new training curriculum to be certified as value consultants. So there are three important skills a CSM needs to build to be consultative. We provided training on discovering more about the customer by asking open-ended questions. Now, this will help you understand their pain points. They may not always necessarily know that to solve their pain points or their problems, how your product or service can enable them to do it. And I think this is where your consultative approach and, where the skills that the CSM have built, comes in, right? The CSMs may find themselves often in this precarious situation where they may need to challenge the customer, right? There's a need to be both persuasive, but sometimes provocative. It goes hand in hand, especially if you see your customer headed down a road of sort of an imminent failure situation that you may have seen with other customers. This is where you accept that trusted advisor role, with a confident duty. And the way you do that is by, showing them how the work and the work streams and aligning your work streams that your product can deliver to their business goals. And you can also not be that confident advisor if you do not have the appropriate knowledge. And the knowledge is not just on your product, right? It is the knowledge on your industry and the category your product serves. So understanding the customer's environment, their tools landscape is also important when you design that consultative approach training. So we put together sort of a set of discovery questions. A discovery well done is important in tying business outcomes to the value your technology brings. So what we did is we took our different personas, an executive buyer persona, our super user champion, and put together some list of probing open-ended questions. The why and how questions, they're definitely very great to follow and kind of get more detailed answers after you ask kind of a close-ended question, right? So one of my favorite here is what keeps you up at night. You can, depending on what answer you get, you can take the customer down to the more probing questions and really into the realm where your product and your technology can help them. The second portion of this consultative approach is developing very prescriptive playbooks that can help the CSMs become thought leaders, where they can guide their customers through finding solutions for their problems. What we found is most of our success plans talked about customer outputs, not outcomes. And that's why I wanted to talk about let's define the differences between the two, right? So let's say, what's the difference between an output and an outcome? If a company is making products for kids, and let's say the output there is a car seat for babies, the outcome there is the difference that your product makes. It's like keeping your child safe in the car. Similarly, a highway construction company, the outputs are the project design and the number of highway miles being built and repaired. The outcome is actually the difference made by the outputs, right? So it's a better traffic flow, shorter time to travel, fewer accidents. So it's very important you have that distinction when you're defining your customers' business outcomes, not outputs. So to make our CSMs more prescriptive, we put together the set of customer outcomes that they can choose from, and we call this our value realization framework. These are typical steps in the journey. You have your business objectives alignment, where you identify and align the customer's business objectives, which then map to specific work streams. You execute on the work streams, you deliver that specific measured outcome, and sort of be, go to the next business objective. The outcome needs to be short term, typically a quarter, sometimes even less, so you can demonstrate that in a quarterly business review. Now, the way we did this is through this 4-quadrant approach. Through our experience, we found that these are kind of the 4 major types of business outcomes that our customers, that we can help our customers achieve. So 2 of them are aligned to revenue generation, so that's like making money, and then the below 2 are aligned with reducing spend as well as reducing risk. So, if you double click on each of these quadrants, there are a collection of use cases behind them that the CSMs can choose from and align with their customers, and then they have specific, outputs as well as outcomes tied to it. So this is where the CSMs go from just being like specific product advocate to a business consultant, because now they're able to, tie that value, right? Because value is ultimately derived by like measuring and improving behavior. We also have relevant KPIs for each quadrant, and we provide instructions to track the movement of the KPIs over time. And finally, we help our customers correlate the KPI improvement to a business outcome, sort of the money earned, money saved. At the end of the day, this helps our customers. Right? We know that the work we do is in service to our customers' objectives. So we aren't just doing random tactical things. We are aligned on their KPIs with our customers that we are managing. So the value of our customers, so that customers understand the value of the investment really well through this framework. Now, along with standardized process, we also need standardized content, right? So what we did is we revamped our success plan definition to provide value for our customers, not just internal. We started narrowing down the core areas that our customers gleaned most value from to create more simplified customer-centric plans, again, focused on business goals that map to outcome-based work streams that are time-bound and measured. You see some of our templated pages here. This is our sort of very simple playbook. We actually use our CS tool, Gainsight, where we build a playbook that has the specific use cases built in them, and then you can that becomes a success plan, and you can track the work stream, who the owner is, the success criteria, ETA, everything that can then be shared with the customer, on a bi-weekly or monthly basis. It can be shared in executive business reviews. There's also a public portion of this that gets shared with the customer directly as well. So your success plans are now not static, right? They're more dynamic, and it helps with kind of that overall communication, both internally and within the customer side. We also launched a formal CSM certification process. So, at New Relic, we have a partner organization called the Business Value Team, whose role is primarily helping our pre-sales to show ROI during the sales process. And most organizations have this. What we did is paired our CSMs to be mentored by one of these DBS consultants, and then created this formal certification process where the CSMs go through each step of the 4-quadrant, with the number 1 being, can they do this executive presentation of talking through the 4 quadrants and the executive pitch and the value. There's feedback, there's surveys, there's scorecards, there's reports. So, this really helps the CSMs have a path and learn more, and really it also fosters transparency and accountability, in that mentorship program. Okay, so next one here then is, how do you come about measuring these customer outcomes? Wanted to give sort of this simple framework as you think of defining, whether you have your set of 4 quadrants, or as you're thinking of measurement of how you go from the metrics that your product provides to your customers' strategic metrics. So at the bottom here, you can see that there are usage, which are typically obtained from your product, right? So there are adoption metrics. In our case, there are things like monthly active users, data ingest, error rates. You can build on that now, what we call as operational metrics indicators that are, aligned to areas that your product, the category or the industry your product serves, right? So this can impact, and this is what your customers measure within their businesses, right? Their CSAT, for New Relic specifically, it's mean time to resolve, like the MTTX type of metric, time to market for their product, their maturity, right? I think benchmarking and helping our customers understand where they are in the maturity of their process and their framework compared to your other customers is sort of a very relevant indicator here. And then lastly, where you want to then go and build towards is the lagging indicator, which is really the business outcome for the executive audience, which should be in money made, money saved, risk averted type of category. This last one here is what would be an example of one of our customers who would have gone through like our full program. You can see that within each of our quadrant, you can put like a dollar value to it if you've gone through sort of that process and the playbook and the use cases. And so there's sort of a very easy way to show value to the customer. Every business review, and as it comes time to renewal, it's a no-brainer. Quickly, I wanted to touch on this. It is important that this starts at the sales process. The success plans don't evolve, just out of nothing. So we made sure that our value framework is also adopted in the pre-sales cycle. As I said, this has to be a company-wide effort. So the same framework is used in our POCs as well, and the discovery about the customer goals and pain points that they have done then needs to be transferred to the CSMs so they can pick up and take it further. So this is a handshake process that we've developed. So the CSMs have something to start with, as they start creating their customer outcome-based success plans. This is also not just something we do once. This is a practice. It's a way of life. It's a way we approach customer success. You introduce the framework, you align to the customer's business objectives, you identify use cases, scope the technical work, deliver on them, and then you record that as a tangible dollar made, dollar saved, risk averted outcome that's then presented back to the customer. So, takeaways here. I know we have kind of 4 minutes left, so I will open up for questions if there are any from the audience.
Hey, Disha. There are a few questions indeed. So thanks first for this presentation, and thanks for sharing your experience with us. The first question is from Jean-Sébastien. Was the transition to a consultative approach related to your customer acquisition process evolving, or more a change of mentality in the organization?
Yeah, I think it is both. It is definitely the latter first, because it internally focused, very activity driven CSM organization, right? Where you go and do onboarding and you do business reviews. But the framework helped us really build that now we need to look at this from how are our customers getting value from it. It was developed, from, the pre-sales value portion of it, because it is similar what you're selling in your pre-sales, especially in the SaaS subscription world. You have to keep selling it over and over again, even during the renewal phase. So it is a lot of that culture and mindset change, but the practice is very similar. When you go from your buyer journey to your user journey.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and question from Dalma. When training the CS on the customer environment and industry, what are good methods to do this? What resources or approaches do you recommend to share with us?
Yeah, so we did do a couple of CSM specific certifications that are out there in the industry. Success Hackers is one of them. I know several of the CS tools have their own certification program. These are really good, especially if you have sort of CSMs that are more in the starter stages of their career. But then, it also helps in, refresher, right? Like, how do you be more consultative? Some of that is just skill set and studying and getting the tools to ask the right questions. Some of it is practice. So it is a combination of some of that external training, but then internal training as well on, how do our, customers use our products, so product specific training, but then that discipline specific training on that category, right? What are the problems that most of our customers see? So that needs to be included in the framework when you talk about use cases, specific problems and use cases that you've seen from your experience that other customers have solved. And, it sort of becomes part of your knowledge base of use cases.
Thanks. And speaking of moving to a more consultative approach for CSM, we have a question which is, a transition to business-related conversation is stressful for CSMs. Could you tell us more about the training process of preparing CSM for a consulting role?
Yeah, so that certification framework that I walked through is exactly designed for that. So I think number one here is empowering your CSMs with the right tools, right? So if they have the right discovery questions, they know exactly, what are some of the success cases, use cases that have worked with other customers that they can use. I think it builds their confidence. But secondly, taking them through this kind of a rigorous program where they actually get a chance to practice this, on internal audience. And a lot of times, so we do these mock-up sessions where our CSMs, present it to us, we play a role of a customer, and we're probably a lot more harder on our internal teams than the customers are there even. It definitely builds their confidence. It, helps them understand what kind of curveball questions that can get thrown at them, and sort of builds them up. So yes, I think designing this kind of rigorous certification program where you give your team just some of the forced function experience is important, along with, of course, giving them the tools that they need to do their job.
And about tools, so who creates the thought leadership material in the org that CSM use so that they're consistent in what they are, in what they share with customers? Is it marketing? Is it sales?
Yeah, so we have a good cross-functional team that we put together when we started this program. So as I mentioned, it is our DBS team as well. We had members of our pre-sales organization. We had members of our expert services organization. So it is putting together really a few years worth of success stories, right, of customers where things have worked, along with some practitioners from outside that who have been in those roles. Like, for example, I was a customer of New Relic. I had been in the roles. I've walked through some of the pain points, and so I understand that. Similarly, we have like other people in the company who have been at customer sites. We obviously have results of surveys from our customers. So you do need a good cross-functional team when you're putting this together. However, you can be iterative in your approach, right? You can start with a few, and as you walk through some customers, I think that the knowledge base really expands as you have more and more of that. But that's the whole idea of this being having a mentor, so that if there's something new that comes up that's not in your arsenal of tools anyways, you can build it like as you go, and then it can be reusable.
Makes sense. Let's have a final question. How do your CSM capture the KPIs for each quadrant in the framework?
Yeah, so we do that in our tool. So our playbook, each use case has specific KPIs, and then there are steps on how we would help our customer measure those KPIs. We do that today within our success plan framework in our Gainside tool, where we would add what the baseline was, and as we go through the program and them using the product and instrumenting our product, how those KPIs change over time, and then tracking that improvement.
Good. Thank you very much, Disha. Thank you for sharing your experience and on this great topic about customer value consultants. Thank you so much. This was the last session of the day. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining this stream. Thanks. I would like to thank all the speakers for today. Thank you also, Congress Geeks and the AV team who helped. I hope you learned a lot and you had also the opportunity to network with other CS professionals through Umbrella. Tomorrow, join our workshops between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. UK time. We've got a great workshop with success coaching, the resilience factor, and the customer.co. Finally, join our customer success community, a community of CS professionals from all over the globe. Join customersuccessnetwork.com, and I will see you probably in the CS community. Thank you, everyone. Bye.